I'm putting this on the internet only because I know it really happened and feel everyone should know about it. It's been haunting me, not so I'm trying to get some relief. I don't care if you don't read this. Having posting it satisfies me enough that though I've done my part. When I was in elementary school, I can't especially remember when I somehow developed the nightmares. I had dreams, often where I was abducted by aliens, and that was often enough to terrify me. Their simple appearance and apparent desire to take me away from my family only added to my fear. Now that I'm a full grown adult, however, I realize that there was two of a very strange patterns around this I overlooked as a child, things that my insightful mind of an adult would ever have to notice, and what terrified whims of a restless child could only ignore. The only thing I noticed was strange was to realize that the perplexes me to this day. It was the fact that I had never known about aliens before I started having nightmares. I haven't even seen ET yet, which obviously was a bit strange for my age, but it was the truth. We didn't even own the movie at the time. This was the only thing that worries me even now. How could I have the nightmares about an idea I shouldn't have known existed? The second thing I could remember about those early years was perhaps the most frightening of the two, and the fact is the reason why I'm here, telling you all this today. My nightmares, as I mentioned, were reoccurring, but I'm sure you've guessed it. The reason to believe that they were credited to real events was that dreadful night. That horrible and awful night I wanted desperately to forget. Before I go any further into that night, I would probably briefly give you a background of myself. My name isn't necessarily, and I don't think it matters what I looked like. My family was starting to find its feet. I have both my parents around and doing the best they could for the two young children. I was probably 7 or 8, considering my sister was able to walk at the time and was about 5 years younger than me. I slept in the top bunk and would often stay up late. Feeling so sly, my parents never caught me just staring out of the curtained window, hypnotized by the glowing effect of the street lights. It was even through a thin white curtain. It was a perfect life, as I've grown to realize, but at the time, it was just a happy kid. One night, though, I had the most frightening dream. I was looking out the window of a building I vaguely remembered and recognized to be the variation of my school classroom. Now I know that the dreams can work out like that, using places from your memory to create something familiar. Yet it is even imperfect to recreation. You have this feeling that makes you automatically recognize where you are. Or for whatever strange reason, it was a night that everyone was in the class like normal lights on, as if were to wore off an eerily night vibe to it all. What I said, things escalated quickly. I rather was dropped to the dream while things were escalating. I was running to the window. Was everything else? Almost immediately, upon arriving at the window, the power went out and an intense glow began emitting from the outside that could have been a regular school fights. In my dream, in a large spin top shaped saucer that landed in the courtyard of my school, I turned around looking slightly to my left of the window, and although it was just a dream, that sight traumatized me at the same time. I watched my dad carrying my little sister, as I mentioned, barely be able to walk, as he had no doubt to come and pick me up from after my school daycare service. He saw the saucer, and although I witnessed it happen, I can't remember the details of how it happened, and only can recall this happening because I feel it would have been my sixth sense, or perhaps just a repressed memory. I only remember the overwhelming feeling of grief as I watched the doors of the alien shuttle open. Several gray men kill my father as he desperately tried to defend my sister. I can't remember what happened to her. I've always assumed that she was taken aboard ship, but I suppose I don't want to know if that's even true, or worse than fate had bestowed upon her. I must have screamed in my agony because the aliens turned to look suspiciously at me through the window. At least I think that's why. Come to think of it, I guess not, because they burst into the room and once more suspiciously came for me. I don't recall what happened. That's what I dreamed of. That's why I reoccurred in my nightmares every so often, about every 5 years after. First night I woke up crying. I didn't scream and didn't yell. I just carried as my mom came hearing my pitiful sobs to comfort me. I fought the nightmare for a few years, but one night it broke me again, sobbing in fear of something my body refused to let me remember. Then there was a night I cannot forget, that haunts me to this day. I was 13 and headed into high school soon, and as I remember, my family was packed up and moving the next morning. As a result, I was sleeping on the floor. Even though it was a carpet, it was unwoolly uncomfortable to be on the ground, and I wasn't having the easy time getting to sleep. I've always been the one to sleep on my side, maybe on my back, but never on my stomach because it would feel like I was going to puke up my own intestines laying on it. That night I woke up uncomfortable in an odd fashion. I was in the anatomically position, laying on my stomach and my head facing up left. Two things I noticed immediately wrong. Where I was snuggling my favorite stuffed animal, don't judge, and I was on my stomach. Uncomfortable, I tried adjusting by lifting and twisting my body in the direction where my head was laying. As I lifted my head in anticipation of this action, however, I was met with a startling halt. Something extremely stubborn was above my head and pushed my head back into the pillow. In what I might add was an unusually gentle but maniacally forceful fashion. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Hell, I can't even recall if I opened my mouth. It was like I was paralyzed and unable to do anything but perceive the room around me. Then I noticed something strange about the carpet. I could feel the carpet there, but not actually with my body. I felt as if it were my dream. My mind had recognized the carpet was there, like my mind was being told what I experienced rather than experiencing it myself. This time feeling applied to a light in the room, although I had a lamp in the general direction of the light. I knew it was packed away with the rest of my things in my room when I had moved the next day. When my face in the pillows and the strange sixth senses were feeling, I thought suddenly rushed to the nightmare that I have mentioned of was reoccurring up to that point. Before I could make up my real connections, though, I suddenly felt feeling relaxed, drifted off into slumber in seconds, something extremely rare for me. The next morning I didn't remember the events, most likely as they weren't important, so I let myself forget, only to suddenly remember them a few weeks later, almost without warning. I, of course, realized I should have had told my parents. However, I was feeling the statute of limitations to bring up a silly nightmare had long passed, and I felt that it was too embarrassing to bring it up anyways. Honestly, I was far too spooked to ever want to think about what really might have happened that night. I mentioned that there was something you needed to know in all this, though, didn't I? Well, having this experience haunt me my entire life has given me plenty of time to contemplate. As I finally figured out, I connected the dots. Despite the fact that you may call me crazy, I know what was wrong that night. Every night I have left this unresolved, and I have to endure the trauma all over again. Imagining this incident, when this story is finished, I know I could finally begin to rest as my responsibility, so you'll be fulfilled. I went to sleep in my room, woke up someplace else. Where for sure I cannot say, but I was not at home. Whoever took me up lit unintentionally made it clear that by trying to believe me, I was still at home using the simulation on the carpet floor. They had attempted to make me believe that night that they were working on me as it was on my own lamp. It was the same tricks that they had used every time they come for me. When they have to believe in me, I was staring at the glowing pictures of a perfect window, but my mind fought back that night and gave me the power to see through the haze. It was just thought to protect me from the horrors, witnessing the events in my nightmares. Just like it gave me the nightmare to tell me something was wrong. You see, when you're exposed to the horrific traumatic experience, your mind will reside into a happy place. Something familiar, asked to survive the event unscathed. Theoretically, I guess someone could abuse that happy place with the right technology or even telepathic powers if you want to get supernatural to convince someone in the event that's never really happened. Usually our minds fight back to keep us from permanently falling into our happy place, to prevent us from becoming insane or even falling into a comatose. My mind fought back that night because it knew there was something out there abusing its survival technique, triggering my place of safety so I never know the truth of what happens in my sleep, the truth to why we have dreams. Although I know my memories of the true events of those nights won't ever come back, I know the truth of every night. I chose to forget, thanks to that one night of mine that I chose to remember. And although the tale is over, I like to note that I have never had an incident since then and can feel that it won't ever happen again. Probably because of that night they lost control of me. I doubt I'm in a special case though. I doubt I'm the first one to report this or break this hold to have on us. The strongest to resist it, or the best at it, or for frightening to face. Realistically, I doubt I'm the last. So next time you swear to God that dream you had was all too familiar or too real, you may want to prepare yourself because the truth is out there, and every time I think about it, I chose just why I didn't want to know it. As I said, your mind only plays those tricks. Those very tricks they abuse to protect you from a traumatic experience. Well, that was the night I chose to remember, a creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story. I gotta say, I actually like this creepypasta. I thought this one was a really well made creepypasta. It's definitely an enjoyable one. I mean, I could definitely say there's a lot of great concept with it because it involves someone having, basically saying about aliens. I mean, I really have to say, I mean, to find creepypastas on aliens is kind of hard to find nowadays, but this one honestly, it's still a pretty good story. I mean, I have not heard of this story in like a long time. The last time I actually heard about this story was from Creepypasta, and that was like years ago. And I did see a couple other narrators read it, so I thought, you know what? Maybe I should give this one a go. And honestly, it's not that bad. I personally liked it. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, I'm gonna sit here and just say right now, the grammar is pretty good. I personally really have to say I like the storyline of it, and the fact that the author is going for paranoia or something. Honestly, it's still pretty good. So, with that being said, and that being the case, it's a really awesome story. I personally liked it. So, I definitely have to say I will leave a link to this story down below. So, if any of you guys want to go check out this story, you are more than welcome to. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, the only thing I can really say that honestly was confusing was one of the facts that I did see about it is that, if this, how is this nightmare occurs, but then it disappears? I mean, take it, we do remember dreams that, that do happen sometimes. I mean, it's not always the case with people because some people can remember stuff and some people don't remember stuff very well. But I guess that just depends on the person, though. That's just me. But you get what I mean. So I guess the only thing I have to say that I really did not care about was the whole fact this person, put it online because of that experience. But I mean, I can understand that. But at the same time, there's no really real context as to why this guy has been having nightmares about aliens. Like, does he have like a phobia or something? I'm assuming that's what it is because honestly, that's what this story is. But like I said, it's been a long time since I've last read this story. and it's the last time I have heard a narration of it was like a long time ago. So, I guess with that being said, that being the case, I can't see anything else that I did not like, but it was still a good story. I mean, the grammar is good and stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to leave this as anonymous for now because I don't know who the original author of this story is. So, if the author manages to comment on this video and let me know that he, she, or they, them wrote the story, and if they do and they let me know who's the one, like if they wrote the story or whatever, I'll be sure to give them proper credit. But until then, I can't really say who wrote the story because I don't know. So, I guess with that being said and that being the case, like I'm just going to say right now, if I'm missing something about this story, please let me know what it is in the comments below. So I guess with that being said and that being the case, I'm going to sit here and just say right now that this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. I got to give this story a 9.5 out of 10. The 9.5 out of 10 was because while it's a really great story and stuff, but the only issue I would really have to say is does the protagonist have, a phobia for aliens, or was he paranoid? It kind of doesn't really explain too much, but only the author can, explain that in the comments. Like if the author manages to come across the video, they can mention it. So, yeah. I guess with that being the case and with that being said, I can't see anything else that needs to be said, but I'm going to say now, if I'm missing something, let me know what it is in the comments below. And like always, what did you guys personally think of this story? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, if you want to go follow me on DeviantArt and as well as my Twitter, links to those will also be in the about page section of my channel, so you guys can go follow me on those. Also, if you want to subscribe to my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, link to that will also be in the about page section, so you guys can go and check that out as well. Be sure to go subscribe to my backup channel if you haven't. You will definitely see it's really good. So, yeah, I can't see anything else that I have to say, but if I'm missing something, like I said, you guys can let me know in the comments below. And as always, I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please roll the outro because I'm